In this series of video, we're going to look at how to merge and join objects or data frames, concatenate, how to reshape a data frame, pivot table, how to find duplicates, map and reduce, and lastly, see how to use this group by, a very powerful method in Pandas. But first, let's look at concatenate. Concatenate is just a process of joining objects along a particular axis. So for example, you could say axis equals to 0. It just means row wise, and axis equals to 1 just means column wise. And these are some of the parameters you can check from the documentation. We have these different parameters that comes with this function here for Pandas concatenate. We can see we have keys here for hierarchical index. We have names just for levels and hierarchical index. Let's look at an example here. So the first thing we're going to do here is to import Pandas as PD. So let's run that. And then we create two series here, right? Two series objects. So we use this pandas.series to create a series of values, right? A sequence of values. So think of this like just a column, the first column. So series A, this one object, the first column. And then series B, this another column. So, but how do we concatenate? Concatenate, basically, we just probably stacking this, we'll be just stacking this together. So the first thing here to do is PD from the Pandas library concatenate. Okay. So here will be concat, right? And then we want to stack these things together. So we're going to use the square bracket here. Then we put in our object here, series A. So that'll be first, and then separate that by a comma, series B. Okay, so as simple as that. So we run that, and you can see they're all stacked on top of each other. Okay, so the next thing here is to add a hierarchical index on Pandas series. So we're just going to copy this, paste this over here. Then we add here another parameter here. So here we're just going to use the keys parameter. You can say, okay, so we want to, so it's square brackets here. So we want to add some keys here to distinguish between the two series. So maybe I could say A and B. So let's look at how it, the output. So you can see basically here, we're just adding keys for each of these hierarchical objects, series A and series B. Okay. Also, we can label the index, all right, probably using the names parameter. So we can actually copy this and add the parameter here. Okay, so to do that, we can just add that, and we can say, okay, so we want to just use the names parameter, and we want to add some labels, right? So we could say maybe series, comma, and row, maybe row ID, just like that. So when we run this, you can see we've added the labels for each of these columns. So this is A, B are the series, row ID. Okay. Yeah, so that's what the names actually does. So just giving levels, right? So if you go here, that's just the levels, right? Multi-index, right? Rather here, names for the levels in the resulting hierarchical index. Okay. And then here, so in this example, we've created two data frames, right? So here we create using a dictionary, right? So dictionary just takes key value pair, so that now your keys here will be your columns, right? And of course, the values here, what will be populated in your rows, right? So, and we supply here an index for our values, right? So we run this. We can see here we've generated a data frame constituting of rows and columns, right? So to concatenate, we're just gonna stack them together, right? So to do that, we just use the print function PD concatenate. Then we pass the value here for our data frame. So our first data frame here is df1 and df2. So that's all we need to pass here, df1, comma, df2. Actually, this is underscore, then that's underscore. There you go. Hold on. So we need to use a square brackets here. Sorry. So you have to use a square brackets. Okay. So we do that. You can see we've already stacked them together. Okay. On top of each other. What if you wanted to just concatenate the data frame horizontally? Okay. So what you can do here, you can copy this, Okay. And now we're going to use the axis here. We're going to specify here that we want to do this based on the axis. So where's this? All right. So if we just say axis equals to 1, column wise. There we go. So you can see here, it just picked a Chala here for Apple salary. Okay. And then it goes to the second data frame, Biraj here, Cognizant 89,000, all in one row. So as you can see, axis 0 just tries to do that along the column. Okay. So, and lastly here, what if we want to just ignore, because you can see we have repetition here for index. So we can just say ignore the index, right? To do that, just copy this, right? Just copy that, paste here, and I can pass here a value or a parameter, say ignore index, right? Ignore index equals to true. Okay. That way, if I run this, you can see now automatically just kind of uses a series here. Okay. So that each one of these seems or appears to be unique. Okay. Then lastly here, we can use the append function just to add. So for example, just say, from this data frame, add the next data frame. So we use this append function just to add a data frame or a new object on top of another object or inside another object. So we do that, it just kind of automatically does the same thing as what we did here for concatenate, if you remember. Exactly, this is what we did here. Where is that? So you can see we have name, company, and salary. It's just like using concatenate. All right. In the next video, we're going to look at merging and joining.